This man's face was so bloody. It was coming out of his nose. It was painted all over his mouth, and it was dripping all down the floor. Let me tell you what happened. When we went to sleep that night, it was so cold. I'm talking about it was cold to the point where our hands and our feet, it was painful. I'm talking about bone chilling cold. And we go to sleep that night. We didn't get much to sleep. We wake up that day, we go to our breakfast, and we come back to our swap bait, and he hazes us. We are running up and down that swap bait, sprinting, and we are pushing people out the way so that we can get in front because we don't want to be the one that's blamed. I still got blamed. But anyhow, that's besides the point. People are sprinting. We would run inside of the head, and there's this wall in the head, right, where the faucets are connected to. And so we would run in and around the head and then sprint out because the drill instructor would just have us running everywhere, man. I'm talking about we were running from wall to wall. We were running from this wall to this wall. And we would pick a recruit up, sprint. Okay, so here we go. We are running back to the head, which is the restroom, and someone pushes this recruit. This recruit had glasses. He was white. He was overweight, and they pushed him. So he falls down and he smacks his head against one of the beams of the racks, and we heard it. It was loud. It was like bing, and the drill instructor must have heard it too, and so he's like, everyone, get back online. This is drill instructor Sergeant Miller, our white drill instructor with all the veins coming out his neck. Okay? And everyone gets back online. And so this guy gets up and blood is just pouring from his face. And he's struggling to get up. And he runs in front of his rack and he gets online. And he's near me. And so I'm just looking at him through the side of my eye, and I see that blood is painted all on his skivvy shirt, the green shirt, and it's pooling in front of him. It's a pool of blood about this big, and the drill instructor, he walks by. I don't even believe he looked at him, but he may have done a side eye like that, and he keeps walking like it didn't happen. He hazes us some more. And that's when I knew that they weren't going to hold our hands, that this was a man's game. And I still remember that to this day. That happened in 2015. So we get hazed that whole day, and we get lunch, get back, get hazed. The next day, we go to MCMAP training, the Marine Corps Martial Arts Program, I believe is what it stands for. And we march and or drive the bus to a place called the Thunderdome, and it's this martial arts course. It's this big dome, and the ground, it's like a sandbox, except it's a sandbox that's not filled with sand but gravel. Like it looked like cut up tires, and the purpose of that so when we practice moves on each other like body slam and we slam it to the ground, it would absorb the impact. And so we are underneath the Thunderdome, and the Marine Corps MCMAP instructors, they are teaching us all of the moves. And these MCMAP instructors, they kind of think that they hard. These Marines sort of think that they dangerous, you understand? And so they'll beat up in front of us. They're like, all right, I'm going to teach you how to do a jab. If somebody come up on me and they do this is how you going to respond. See, they got another Marine up there, throwing some slow jab so that they can block it and act like they Floyd Mayweather. And so they like, if he throw that jab like this, throw that jab, you gonna come up like this. They do stuff that they know won't work in a real fight, but they got to put on the show, and you have to put on that show with them. All right, sir. That was good, drill instructor. But anyhow, They teaching us how to do the jab, upcut, all that. And I took boxing before I joined the Marine Corps, and so I already know, I already know how to get down a little bit. I know how to get down a little bit. You get what I mean? Cool. So we get back to the SWAT bay. He hazed the crap out of us, and they're blaming me more and more and more, and the resentment is building up more and more and more. But it is what it is, because I was built for this. The next day, we go there and we're doing pupil sticks. They give us this gear. It's like this chest pads and head pads, and in front of us there's a sort of course. The thing is, they're not allowing us to see it, so we're in a line. We had to get on our knee and we had to look backwards, and the person at the front would get the pupil sticks and they would fight. And after they were done, the next person would go and we would get up, but we would have to look the opposite way and we would get on our knees. So I made it to the front, and I've been waiting on this. Why? Because they was blaming me for everything, and I was hoping that they put me with someone who was in my platoon, because they were screaming at me. More specifically, it was this one white guy, and I forget what his name was. I think it was Recruit Jones, but if I saw him to this day, I kid you not, we are throwing hands, straight hands. This guy right here, he was a white guy, and he's one of those type of people. If the drill instructor is telling us do push-ups and somebody ain't going down all the way, and let's say the drill instructor doesn't notice, this guy will look at you. Now, they didn't do this to me because I went ham on those push-ups, but this guy would look at somebody who wasn't doing push-ups all the way, and he would be like, "Why aren't you doing push-ups all the way? He's gonna haze us more." And the drill instructor wouldn't even had noticed, but since he pointed it out, the drill instructor would be like, "Oh, he don't want to do the push-ups. Everybody get up, sprint that way." And I'm like, why did you do it? Shut up! What are you doing? So I wanted that dude there, and he'd be screaming at me too, even though I'd be running faster. So I wanted him. I was gonna put in work on that boy, but I get up there. The drill instructor is giving me this pep talk. Okay, this pep talk. He giving me the pupil sticks. I turn around, and it's this guy, but it's not him. Ooh, that boy was lucky. But the drill instructor is telling us the rules. It's the best out of 3. If you win one and they win one, you got to go a third time. So you want to win 2 times. So it's the best out of 3. He tells us the rules. So, like I said, I took boxing before I came in. And I get my pupil sticks. The drill instructor says, "Fight!" Like Mortal Kombat. And they told us if we won that fight, if we knocked them out, knocked out their mouthpiece, we get a call home. I didn't really care about a call home, but I knew what was in their head. Them boys wanted that call home, and they wasn't getting one when they was fighting me. So the drill instructor say fight, and I'm like whap, 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 whap. The drill instructor jump in, he gotta stop it. Stop! And he liking what he's saying. He like stop. Drill instructors, they still got to act mad, but he was happy to see this amount of violence. So he like, "Stop! Get up off him! Get up off him! Get up off him!" And so they push me back, okay? He like, "All right, you win this fight. Fight!" Okay, we on the second one. And I go back to work. Thwap! 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 And when I was putting a spanking on him, I had to go forward. And I slipped on some wet sand, some mud rather, and I fell down to my knee. And that gentleman who I was fighting, he was the look in his eye. He was wearing a mask, but I could still look at it. He was like, he was happy. he was shocked that he got that break. And the drill instructor said, hit him. And the dude went up on me, whap, and he hit me. And I was like, oh no, oh no. And so, I lost the second one because I slipped on some mud. And so now we in the third round. And guess what happened? Drill instructor was like, fight. I'm like, He started backing up. I'm like, oh no, oh no. What? He tried. I guess he tried to do some Mayweather. I'm going right with him. What? And so at one point I lifted up all like this, woo, and I hit him hard, and he fell down, and he curled up in a fetal position, and he's like, and drill instructor looked at me like. It looked at me like I was the chosen one. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure the drill instructor who was refereeing that fight was my drill instructor Sergeant Miller. He pulled me off. Get off him! Get off him! He like get up out here! Get up out here! And so, but I could see the respect in their eyes. And so we go back that day. They hazed the crap out of us. And though I'm being blamed for everything, I could see a respect he had in his eye for me because I knew how to throw them hands. But that wasn't enough. And I thought that's what they did is they found someone that they didn't like and they just blamed them for a while. But as basic training went on, they just kept blaming me for more and more things, which admittedly was a lot of my fault. It's just in order to change my behavior, I had to go through a large paradigm shift. But before that happened, the things between me and drill instructor Sergeant Burke, drill instructor Sergeant Miller, drill instructor Sergeant Mata, it just reached a boiling point until things got violent.